So the mental push-up is one of the most common meditation styles and the most effective that you could ever learn. It forms the basis of technique, repetition and awareness that you can apply every day for the rest of your life. Think of this meditation as the wax on, wax off, or shadow boxing or kata that you train so that you can apply in your everyday life, whether at work, at home or anywhere. It's the same meditation that I've been doing for over 10 years and will be the main meditation I continue to practice for the rest of my life. That's how powerful it is. Don't expect to do this and that the stress is going to immediately go away. No, that's not how it works. But when stress does arise, we now have a tool that we can use to reduce it and alleviate it. The more we practice, the better that we get at it. Now, if you suffer from a diagnosed mental condition, then please consult your doctor before doing any kind of meditation. Now, the mental push-up consists of two main parts. The first part is to focus all of our attention on our breathing. When we're focused on the sensations of the breath, we're not thinking, we're being present. And that's what we're trying to achieve, presence. Part two is the skill of bringing our attention back. When we notice any thoughts arise, we're training the mind to go back to the breath. Now, a cool tip to help with this meditation is to identify what we call an anchor. This is where you notice the breath more prominently in the exhale and the inhale. When you get familiar with focusing on the breath, you may notice this more prominently in the inhale as the cold enters the body down the throat, or maybe more noticeable on the exhale as the warmer air exits your nostrils. This area of focus we call the anchor. So during meditation, the mind may wander 50 times. And if it does, our aim is to bring the attention back 50 times. This push-up is not complete unless both parts are carried out as a combination. The mind wanders, and if it wanders again, we bring it back and we bring it back again, over and over again. This repetition is the key to a lifetime of being present. It's also the skill that we apply in our daily lives when we feel the stress and anxiety cropping up. So again, let's find a quiet place to sit. We're going to keep our back straight and we're going to close our eyes. Maybe pause the video now if you want to get ready and get yourself set. But in your own time, we're going to begin by taking in 10 deep breaths. Full inhales and full exhales. We're going to get familiar with the sensations of breathing. Familiar what it's like to be in the laboratory of your own mind. Now, for many of us, it's rare to sit quietly and observe our breath, or even sit with our eyes closed, even though breathing is something we've done all of our lives. Okay, 5 more deep breaths. Fill your lungs completely. Expand them to their maximum capacity. Begin to notice the feeling of your weight as you sit on the chair or the floor. Feel the weight of your feet as they connect with the ground. And without moving them, feel your toes and the sensation of them touching the ground. Okay, now bring your breathing back to its normal rhythm. Notice how the stomach and diaphragm expand and contract as you breathe in and out. Okay, so still with the eyes closed. As you breathe in, where do you feel the sensation the strongest? Is it in the nasal passage, at the top of your nose? Is it the feeling of cool air at the back of your throat? Or do you notice it most in the expansion of the lungs as it fills with oxygen? Okay, keeping your attention on this exercise and on this exercise alone. As you breathe in and you breathe out. Breathing is something that we do 24/7, and yet we very rarely spend time deliberately breathing. Breathing in and breathing out. For me, I feel the breath most strongly as it moves down my throat, For me, this is where I can distinguish it the most. My anchor. Where do you feel it? Once you find the place where you notice the breath the strongest, use this as your anchor. This may change over time, but for now, wherever you feel it most prominently, this is your anchor. Feel the stomach rise and fall with each breath. Feel your diaphragm expand with each breath. By taking in just one deliberate breath every day, it does wonders for the body and mind. Think of it as clearing out your desktop screen. As the pop-ups build up daily, imagine the breath cleaning out and resetting your screen. The pop-ups may appear again, but now we have a tool to do something about it. Breathing in and breathing out. Full attention and concentration on this exercise. We're not trying to chill out or relax with our eyes closed. This is a concentration exercise and requires attention and dedication. Paying attention and following the breath from the inhale all the way to the exhale. If you're not familiar with spending time alone in your own mind, this may feel new to you at first, but this is completely normal. Now, as we pay attention to our breath, without fail, thoughts will arise. So those that were earlier type A or B really need to be on the lookout for thoughts. As they are there, it's a question of practice so that we can recognize them as they arise. So the second part of the mental push-up is once we notice a thought arise, with kindness, we guide the focus and attention back to the breath. It's the nature of the mind to wander, and wander it will. But we're practicing the awareness. As soon as that thought arises, aha, I see you. With kindness, I'm going to go back to my meditation, back to my anchor, back to my breathing, to presence. Okay, focusing on the breath, on your anchor. Let me give you some examples. You're sitting down now doing the meditation, you're focusing on the breath, and a thought enters. Oh, I've got that project to hand in tomorrow. As soon as we notice that, back to my anchor. Where am I feeling the sensation of my breath? Oh, this meditation is not working. It's too hard. It's a thought. Take a breath. Back to the anchor. That's our main focus. Returning back to presence. This is boring. It's not fun. Notice that, and with kindness, back to my breathing. Back to presence. Oh yeah, that email I have to write later on that I need to respond to. But for now, back to the breathing. I'm starting to feel a bit hungry now. Fine, but for now, with kindness, we're going to go back to our breathing, back to our anchor. You know, what about the argument you had with your colleague yesterday? For now, for this 10 minutes, that doesn't matter. We're going to acknowledge the thought, but we're going to take it back to our breathing. Sounds easy, right? The more we do this, the more we'll realize that as thoughts arise, we can very quickly get caught up in these thought patterns. But the more we practice, the quicker we are at noticing the thought, ergo, the quicker we are at returning our attention back to the exercise, back to the breathing. Again, where do you notice the sensations the strongest? Feel the rise and fall of the stomach muscles. Follow closely the beginning of the breath. Follow it as it makes its way down your lungs. Notice it as it fills them. Notice even the slight pause between the inhale and the exhale. Again, be on the lookout for thoughts. And as they arise, observe them in your mind, almost as if you were in a cinema, a dark cinema. And as the thoughts arise, they appear like images passing by on the screen. The thought arises of being hungry. Watch the image as if passing on that big cinema screen. Become the observer. And the key is, once we notice that thought, we see that thought pass on the screen, step 2 is to deliberately bring our attention back to our breath, completing the mental push-up. As the mind wanders, and I repeat, it is the nature of the mind to wander. It's not your fault. You couldn't stop it even if you wanted to. More examples. This is difficult. Well, my back's hurting. Starting to get in that itch again. Imagine these on the screen. Be the observer. Sit back and watch it take place. And in that moment, bring your full attention back to your breathing. Rather than getting lost in that thought, the skill is to constantly bring the attention back to the breath. We rinse and repeat over and over again. Breathing in and breathing out. Mindfulness helps to improve our skills of observing thoughts. Why? The better we get observing the thoughts, the better prepared we are for doing something about it, to respond to it. Okay, and as we come to the end of our meditation, we're going to end on 10 deep breaths. Full inhales, full exhales. Bringing full concentration to this inhale and exhale. Five more. And again, any distractions, back to the breath. Bring your attention there. 2 more. Okay, and in your own time, open your eyes and welcome yourself back to the room. So how was that for you? Yeah, a lot of people find it a bit strange to sit with their eyes closed, and usually that means sleep time. And some people feel that it's quite draining and weird to be sat with your eyes closed, but this is very normal for beginners, and it's something that is very common. But a reminder that meditation for this purpose is 2 parts. The deliberate focus on our breathing, And again, a tip is to identify your anchor. It just helps as we keep bringing our attention back to the breath. If we have an anchor, it helps to facilitate that. And secondly, when the mind drifts, which it will, don't blame ourselves. We can't choose that. We can't stop that. But we complete the mental push-up by guiding our attention back to the breath. And we repeat this process over and over again during the meditation. Ideally, for every thought that arises, there is a reaction from us or a response to bring the attention back to the breath.